What's up, everybody? I was not aware that this needed to be a vertical view, so let me go ahead and change that. Bear with me, guys. We're gonna get going right now. Just give me 1 sec. That's how you know it's live, as they say. Okay. So this means I'm gonna be a little shorter than I was hoping, but we're gonna be all right. Okay. This is why we're doing 3 lives today, just in case one doesn't go according to plan. Okay. Y'all gonna have to mind a little background noise. Kids are home. Man, I really am sorry, everybody. I'm trying to get this angle right. I didn't want to be late. Y'all like it? I like it. But let me see if I can get it up a little more. My name is Mario Rodriguez, and truthfully, I started this channel with the hopes of being able to just really share all the information that I've taken in the last 4 years since I was able to transform my life. Not only was I able to give up drinking, but really it was everything that came after that even I don't think I was prepared for how quickly things changed in my life and in internally as well. Um, we're gonna go over all that, but the real reason I wanted to make this live tonight and just get it out, it just so happened to be during New Year's. Let's see, we got what's up to T-Lon Cool, what's up H84TTV, what's going on, guys? So what I really wanted to do was, I've been working on this digital product for the last month. And what I wanted to do was really find what were the basic components that helped me transform in a very short time. Like, out of everything that I did in the beginning, what were those main factors? Let's see, we got a couple more people in here. What's going on, everybody? And really, it came down to just a few simple things. And I think if the majority of people understood this, they realize that making a transformation just really isn't as difficult or complicated as really society, I'll say that, has made everybody think. I think the majority of us have been brainwashed to think that not only that the world is falling apart, but I think we've been made to feel like we're broken in some way. And even though we've for the most part have had a veil over our eyes for most of our lives, something incredible happens when you free yourself. You start to see how insignificant most of the things in your life that are probably stressing you out right now are, and you're able to focus on those few things that you've always wanted to actually be there for, the people you wanted to be there for, the person you wanted to be during certain situations. I know there was many times in my past where I was excited for a certain moment, and because the past version of me had a tendency to always want to either celebrate too early or continue to celebrate far too long. But I know there was many times where alcohol ended up becoming something that ruined what would have been a very positive moment in my life. So, with that being said, we're gonna go over a few things real quick. Hold on, I'm gonna pause this real quick. Thank y'all. Now, I think the first thing that anybody that's looking to make any real change needs to answer this question, which is why? Everybody has a different reason why. I had a very strong why. I'm sure anybody that's been trying to figure out how to fix things for themselves, they've all have their own reason. But the real question is, how strong is that reason? And I'm gonna tell you this. For me, what changed everything was when I started to realize that the things that I was doing was gonna quickly take me out of the picture when it came to my family. And me not being there was literally the spark that got me going. And something that I just actually found out recently listening to the Dr. Huberman Lab podcast, which is the one thing that's more motivating, that gives people more drive, more incentive to accomplish something, isn't actually the goal of finishing something, but it's actually envisioning yourself how bad something would be if you didn't do the thing that you wanted to do. So I think you need to start with that, which is, why is it that you want to make this change? And more importantly, what would happen? What would be the reality if you don't change? If it's a job that you hate, if it's a way that you're starting to feel and look, if it's the relationships that you used to have that are starting to fall apart, I want you to think, if the reason you want to transform, the reason you want to change is one of these, and if you didn't take action today, what would your life look like in 5 months, in 5 years? Would you still be at that job? Would you now have lost these connections that you're trying so hard to hold on to? Would you continue to sabotage everything that you do? Well, once you figure that answer, then you can go ahead and move on to the next, which is, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be now? And how do you identify yourself as quickly as possible to become that person? My biggest hurdle that I had to get over was drinking. So the first thing that I had to identify was as somebody who doesn't drink. I mean, it sounds simple, and as hard as in the moment it felt to be that person, the truth is it only took about 2-3 days of doing things I'm going to tell you guys on this live that actually made me start to walk in the shoes of somebody who no longer drinks. I think that was the craziest part about this whole journey, which is, once I took those first few steps, once I was able to cross those first few days of living this new life, looking back a week later, I almost couldn't even remember what it felt to not feel this good. And I've slowly built off of that in the last, I'm going on 4 years next month. And even though there's a lot of different things that I can kind of throw at you guys, I really want to keep this as simple as possible, because really what I wanted to show you guys here, I want you guys to be able to also go to the link and check out the PDF that I've put on there for you guys. It's brand new. I've worked on it pretty hard, and I've made it very affordable, almost to what a cup of coffee tastes costs now. I'm only gonna have this price for about a week, because truthfully, I'm already working on something that's gonna be more detailed and more than likely will be a little more. So I definitely recommend that once this live is over, you go check out the link on our channel, and we would greatly appreciate it if you check out that PDF. So we're gonna go ahead and move forward with our presentation. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. So, all right, now here's the first thing I'm going to tell you guys, which is you have to erase the thought of somehow that you're being comfortable, that you're doing good, which I'm sorry to say is actually quite the opposite. The Bible says that the devil actually tricks us into comfort to stop us from fulfilling our divine destiny. And that's very true. If you look around, all the things that get put in our face every day, which is phones that are getting easier and easier to get a hold of, the food, binge watching, all these things that really didn't even exist 20 years ago, 25 years ago. The world has become overloaded with just comfort, what is the word I'm looking for? Just comfort in the worst ways possible. So that's the first thing you need to understand, is that moving forward, when you start to do these things that we're going to go over, that if you start to feel yourself in a moment where you'd rather do something opposite of what you're supposed to do because it feels more, that's your old program trying to creep back in. You're now going to be operating on a new program, because that's all really our brains are made up of. We are individually, our spiritual divine selves were made in the image of God. However, we still have a brain that operates, that works off of programming and subconscious habits. So you need to be aware that there's different things happening every second in your mind, in the things you do and the things you want. So the one thing that you need to weed out now is this feeling of comfort that you somehow, even though your life is a effing mess right now, that you'd rather sit around all day and watch TV and eat garbage because you simply don't believe that you can make this change. So that's number one. I want you to start there, and that's going to be included in this PDF file. So we're going to go ahead and understand that when it comes to physical self, we live, and this is going to be an important thing I'm going to say on here, so I want you to hear what I'm saying. When I gave up drinking and changed a lot of things, I also changed what I was eating on day one. And we're gonna go more into detail on this. And how quickly my body changed in a matter of weeks, 2 weeks. Like I said at the beginning, I wasn't ready for it. I didn't expect it. In a matter of a month, it was almost unthinkable of what I looked like and what I felt like a month prior. I thought maybe perhaps a fluke, but as I continued to educate myself, listen to the podcast, listen to the audiobooks, I realized that a lot of things that I had accidentally put together were actually a perfect formula for me to have accomplished what I had done, which was transform my body in a short amount of time, which really wasn't even the goal. The goal was to make sure that I now identified as a person that no longer drank and that was present for my family. And that was it. That's all I wanted. However, getting in shape, living this lifestyle, not only living it, but embracing it, was something that I attribute to two things: to God and to what I was now putting in my body. So when I ended up moving to Texas a few months after I made this transformation, me and my family. And over the course of the last 2.5 years, I've helped 3 different individuals actually transform, doing the same steps that I'm going to give you guys here. And I gave them the same information I'm about to give you right now, which is, and I told all 3 of them the same. 2 of them were severely overweight. One actually wasn't, but he felt himself letting go. Again, told them all the 3 things. I told them, you guys, if you guys follow the next few things I tell you guys to do for the next 2 weeks, next week, you're going to see the changes right away, and it's going to make you want to do it more and more and more. That's just how it works. And would you believe that all 3 of them actually took my advice, did what I told them to do, and the changes they saw, they couldn't believe. For me, I was over the moon this last time when he told me how much weight he dropped in a short amount of time. I knew that as much as I want this channel to be about complete transformation, I realized that for now, my place here is to help anybody there that just wants to just get out of their own stratosphere and see what's out there. I think that's what's important right now, and that's what this PDF that we have in our link is about, and that's what this webinar is going to be about more than anything. So I'm going to tell you what I told them, which is, you don't have a fat problem, you don't have an overweight problem, and you don't have a overeating problem, because that's just who you are. I told them no. I told all 3 of them the same thing. I said, you have an inflammation problem. Yes, there's a good chance that there's a lot of fat that they needed to burn through as well. But as I told all 3 of them, if you guys do these first things off the bat, the first thing you're going to do is reduce the inflammation drastically. And from doing that, that's going to be what's going to give you the momentum to then start actually going after the things that you think have been this immovable mountain for so long. The first gentleman I helped was in his 50s. He's been overweight his whole life, basically. And when I started talking to him, he started telling me about his grandkids, and I knew that was going to be my seed that I can plant into his head. I just didn't think that it would flower so quickly. Second kid, I'm going to say kid, he's in his 20s, 22 again, very overweight. And I told him the same thing. No kids, not married. Told him, but one day you will be, and the quality of life you have then will determine what you do now. The third gentleman I helped was actually, again, not overweight, but he said he knew he was letting himself go, and he managed to lose, I believe, 15 pounds in the course of 2 to 3 weeks. So what is it that I told him to do? Well, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you guys here. And again, it's quite simple. They already had their whys. So we already started with why. Why do you want to change? What's going to happen if you don't change? Okay, so now we're going to move on to the meat of the presentation. Let's see. Okay. What you're going to do. The first thing you have to do is begin fasting in the mornings. So for me, I'm a guy that gets up very early. I'm in at work by 6. We have a lunch break at 10 o'clock. So even though 10 a.m. may seem early for a lunch break, you have to understand that my day technically starts at 4 a.m. So what I told these guys, and what I'm telling y'all, is the way the body works is it can only really put much of its energy to break down one of 2 substances that's in our body. which is fat and sugar. And what happens is you go to sleep at night, your sugar level, your glucose level goes down. It's never going to go down anymore. It does then, unless you start to go on a 2-3 day fast, which if there's time here, we'll go. If not, we'll save that for next week. What happens is when you wake up, your the the way your body is working, it's now working to where it can focus on just burning whatever is in your body because there's really not much sugar present there. And what happens is the moment you put sugar into your body, you've now completely cut off that source of fat burning because now all the energy has to be moved over to breaking down the sugar that you're bringing in. And what is it that consists of an American sugar? Bagels, cereal, pastries. I had a guy the other day ask me to bring him a coffee with 10 sugars. I love this guy, but damn, so these are things that are going to stunt any sort of growth. So the first thing you have to do, and you have to be accountable for this, because you have to understand no one's going to be there to hold your hand. And if you go ahead and lie about it, that's fine, but you're only going to be lying to yourself. So the first thing that you absolutely have to do is fast. The first 4 to 6 hours. This is non-negotiable. Now, we're going to move to the next thing. What happens when your body's only focusing on burning fat and not sugar? Well, this is where you can take advantage of that and actually work your body, make your body work for you instead of against you. So what can you do? Now, when I started, and this is in the PDF file that's in our link, in our channel link, which is when I first started, my first day on getting on this, I knew I couldn't do more than a few push-ups and a few sit-ups. But I knew I was going to do it. I knew I had to do it. So day one, I literally struggled through 10 push-ups and 10 sit-ups, and I went out for a walk. And the next day I did it again. The next day I did it again, and little by little, to it. As I would drive around in Los Angeles, out of the parks, have pull-up bars, dip bars. I would park my car, and I'd take advantage of whatever I could to use to help me change my body even quicker. So that was the second non-negotiable information I gave these gentlemen. I told them, I said, fast first 4 to 6 hours. When you get up, all these guys were in construction with me, which meant they had a very short window of the moment they get up to when they had to be clocked in on the job, 6 o'clock. A lot of these guys weren't used to I go to the gym before I go to work. So that means I'm up at least 2 hours before I'm actually walking into work. A lot of these guys were used to just getting up, making their way to work, and going about their day. I told them, you guys are going to have to give yourself at least 10 to 15 minutes each morning. The best thing you can do, and this is actually a little trick that I've heard more than once now on a couple of the podcasts, which is when you're able to tie one new habit to an existing habit, it makes it that much more easier and realistic for the habit to stick. So one thing that I told him, I said, as you go brush your teeth, right after you finish brushing your teeth, get down and do your exercises. 10 sit-ups, 10 push-ups. That's it. I'm telling you, if you can bust in some jumping jacks, if you can go get a jump rope, whatever you got to do just to get your body moving for 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. And that's gonna further get your body transforming from day one. You might not see it, but I bet you'll feel it in about 2 to 3 days. Now, you've gone through the first two. What's the third one? Now, the third one is the one that a lot of people have trouble with, and I've always said that how serious you are about transforming it's up to you. So for me, my day one started the day before when I went to a Trader Joe's, and I still remember what I got. I got a couple bag of frozen veggies and some fried rice. And I kind of tried to stick to that for the first few days because I knew that the fact that I've been eating nothing but processed food, fast food, junk food, you name it, I literally have been eating everything but whole foods and foods that are rich in vitamin and nutrients, that I had been depleting myself for a long time. And if I wanted my new habit of identifying as somebody who doesn't drink to stick, then I knew that being somebody who was conscious and aware of my nutrition was gonna have to be part of that new identity. So same thing I told these guys, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna have to lay off the junk for at least a week. And after you get through this week, you'll already have set up a structure, a framework for what you know you like to eat that's actually good for you. Because a lot of people will say, well, I don't like to eat healthy because it's too boring. I don't like how it tastes. Well, guess what? The good thing is now there's so many ways to go about finding recipes that'll work for you. And then just sticking to these few recipes in the beginning, because that's all we're doing right now, is we're trying to keep this simple. If we keep it simple, we give you the best chance at making a true transformation. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. What's up to everybody on here? Meg, Brando, Lena, Melinda. What's up, everybody? So now, what kind of things do you want to avoid? Fried food, soda, anything that has a high amount of sugar, and you guys know what it is. You guys know what it is because it's what you've been eating this whole time. So I don't really have to explain to you the stuff you need to avoid. What you're gonna do now is you need to be able to, at least for a week, replace these things. Replace the trash with the best example I heard a while ago was anything that didn't exist 100 years ago, we shouldn't really be eating it at this point, because that means it's been man-made. It has all sorts of chemicals and things that we don't even know what it is. So when you're eating, try to really think, what would they have ate 100 years ago that's still around now? That's your home meat, water. You won't ever see a case of soda in my house. You won't ever see a single energy drink in my house. I work in construction where the guys at this point have gotten sick of me lecturing them on what they're doing to themselves when they're drinking a Monster energy drink at 6:30 in the morning. And I try to tell them in the perspective of being a dad and not being somebody who's just trying to hear myself talk. Because I truthfully don't go around telling everybody what are they doing. But there's a couple guys that I've built very good relationship with, and that I would hate for them to later be sick, and even worse, that I'm still around to see it happen and me not have said anything. So I just want to throw that out there because I think it's crazy that energy drinks are even still legal at this point, knowing how bad they are, how much they increase the chances of diabetes, heart failure. It's crazy. So stick to whole foods, stick to water. In the last year or two, I've really taken my vitamins a lot more serious. We won't go into that on this live. We'll say that for next week as well, because again, I don't want to throw too much at everybody here. But so whole foods. Water. Now, If you really want to step up the water portion of it, something I personally did the first week that I started my transformation 4 years ago was I would make a cup of coffee in the morning, because they actually say warm water. And actually, let me change that. We're gonna put at least room temp water. Don't even drink cold water at this point. You want to stick to either room temperature water, or even if you're able to chug down some warm water, more power to you. Warm water will burn fat way more effectively than cold water. Cold water keeps fat there. So remember that. The first week that I started my transformation, I actually made a coffee in the morning, coffee black, squeezed lemon, and some Himalayan salt. First morning I drank it, I felt like I was drinking water from the beach, if I'm being honest. Second day, it was still a little hard. By the third day, I really didn't even think about it. I took it like a champ. By the fifth, sixth day, as I saw my 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 belly was going down so quickly, and I know part of it had to do with these things, but it also had to do with the fact that I was making this lemon and salt coffee drink. It was crazy. So that's not in the PDF file, but if you want to make a note of that for yourself, I highly encourage you to do that. So those are really the physical structural part that's in the PDF file, and that I use to tell these guys, to help them to understand um, that it is possible. It is possible to lose weight, um, to transform your body, and really to start setting yourself up to live a life that you can be very, very happy in your own skin. Because I think a lot of us, I think that's our biggest downfall. Our biggest misconception is that we walk around catering to everybody, trying to please everybody, and at the same time, internally, we don't like ourselves, we don't like how we look, and we don't realize that a lot of this is attributed and connected to the fact that we're eating the way we eat. And like I said before, we're living in a world now where they want everybody to be in this low state of health, of energy, of vibration, because a sick population is a population that's easy to control. That's just what it is now. So, in order for you to transform, this is going to be the biggest change here, which is going to be your mindset. I have read and listened to well over 75 self-help, business, nutrition, financial books, and I'm going to say all of them say that no change will come until you change your mindset. That has to come. So, as your body is changing, you also need to be aware that your mind needs to keep up with this change. Otherwise, you're just going to sabotage yourself and go right back to being the old person. Why? Because your mind was never able to see yourself as a new person. It still saw yourself as the old version that was going through this place in your life where you kind of were healthy for a couple of days, and that's not what we're going for here. We're going for complete transformation in the most simplest way. And what's the simplest way? Is by saying, I am a person now that cares about my nutrition, that cares about if I exercise, that cares about what goes in my mind, in my ears, and what my eyes see, and what, more importantly, comes out of my mouth, and how I talk about myself to the world. Because the biggest self-sabotaging thing that one person can do to themselves is to continuously put themselves down to either themselves or to the people around them, to try to get some sort of uh, to have other people make them feel better about the fact that they're not who they want to be. That is the worst thing that anybody can do, because the truth is everybody's going to want you to do better until you actually do better than them. And then you're going to see that the same people that had no problem coming and telling you that it's okay you went on another bender and lost another job, it's okay that you lost another relationship, hey, it's all right, it's not your fault, your parents weren't around, you went through this thing, you went through that thing. So in order to change your mind, in order to really build a new mindset, you need to be aware of all these things and be able to start not only being aware, but to start recognizing them. And then just like that duck game at the fair where you pew, 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 you see something that's making you think that you're not good enough, you shut that duck down. Nope, I'm not gonna listen to that, I'm not gonna hear that. Sometimes it's gonna unfortunately require walking away from relationships, walking away from people that have been in your circle for a long time. The truth is, once you start changing, you become an outcast, and if you're not prepared for that before it happens, a lot of times that's going to be the reason you go back to doing the things you were doing. Because sometimes we'll be able to make this change and make it stick and make it effective until we're around the people that have always known us to be the people we were, the drinkers, the partiers, the self-sabotagers, whatever it is. So understand that you now have a responsibility to yourself to start feeding your mind with things that are going to make you understand and realize that you have the potential to not only just make these changes here, but that there's a whole world out there available for you to take on, to fulfill your dreams, to look out for the people that you've always wanted to look out for and not be the one that needs to be looked out for. All of that is possible for you. And there's now, I mean, we're in a day and age where a lot of things I listened to in the beginning were seminars that happened in the 80s. And it wasn't until years later that I kind of had to put that perspective of how lucky, how blessed I was to be around at the time I was. Because if I needed that information in the 80s in real time, I would have had to have saved up and paid and traveled to wherever these seminars were happening. Instead, I'm watching them at the time on a computer in my office as I was stressed out, as I was at a job I hated, I was overworked, but I made time to always have something up that was feeding my mind. Mind you, this was years before I made my transformation. My transformation came almost 4 years ago next month. However, I started learning and really getting almost obsessed with personal development when I turned 30, which was 10 years ago. So, and that's why I'm telling you guys that if you guys want this to stick around, you guys have to understand that your mind is going to be your most valuable tool in this war here of figuring out how to defeat your old self. And I'm telling you, it's easy, it's possible, you can do it. Like I said, there's a PDF that we have on our link on our channel. I highly recommend y'all check it out. If not for you, for someone you love. Tonight, this is our first night that we're going to begin doing our weekly live seminars. Just tonight, we're going to be doing 3 rounds of this. I'll be back. Let's see, what time is it right now? We started at 5. I'll be back at 7 with round 2. We're going to go over the same things. I'll share some more things if I have time. We won't have as much trouble with the setup. But I want to thank everybody that popped in, checked it out. again, like I said, I recommend y'all check out our link. We really appreciate it. If not, at least smash that subscribe button. Make sure y'all get the content that we're putting out here all the time. See y'all in a little bit.